As we've seen over the years, the Israeli propaganda machine always makes sure that they get this point across, that they're doing what they're doing for the defense of Israel. So it's a kind of self-defense. It's what they have always claimed. Today I have a clip for you here from Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy is a British Israeli. He's a former Israeli soldier. As any Israeli in the country, he has served in the military, in the IDF. During Ehud Barak's government, he served as an advisor to the Prime Minister, and he also was an advisor to the Minister of Justice. He also was a former negotiator on behalf of Israel during the Sabah summit and the Oslo II peace process. So he has spoken on behalf of Israel. He has served the Israeli government for many years. Right now, though, he is the president of the U.S. Middle East Project. It's a policy institute that works to argue that the policy of the Israeli government in the West has been wrong all this time. And he's a kind of person that you cannot accuse being an anti-Semite, because basically he has served the Israeli government. He used to be part of the negotiating team on behalf of Israel. Let's first look at his video and I'll add my comments on that.
I personally believe that Israelis can never have security until Palestinians have security. That equation, the equation that you can impose a regime of structural violence on another people, you can deny another people their basic rights, and you will live with your own security, that equation never works.
So he's saying Israel cannot be safe without Palestine's safety. The safety of Israel is actually dependent on the safety of Palestine, according to him. And he talks about the imposed regime by the government. And we can see as a whole that the Israeli government has been imposed on the Palestinian people during the Nakba in 1948, where Israel became a state by ethnically cleansing more than 750,000 Palestinians, and then followed a military occupation for 75 years. So it's an imposed regime in the fullest sense of the term. He also talked about structural violence that is making Israel an unsafe place. He says the security of the Palestinians is a prerequisite to the security of the Israelis. You can see the Palestinians living in the occupied Palestine have to pass through endless checkpoints every day. They have to always constantly be under a military siege. A military siege that sometimes counts the amount of calories that enter into places like Gaza. The Israeli government literally calculated the amount of calories a person is allowed to get in places like Gaza. And they have enforced this because they control the borders of Palestine. It's a structural and systematic way of making sure that people in Gaza are underfed and they have problems with malnutrition. And you see the various genocidal attempts and attacks and bombardments that they have done over the years, including the one that we've seen since October 7 last year. We've reached a point where everyone has agreed that Israel is committing a genocide, and only the United States is denying that fact. Daniel Levy also said, if you deny the basic rights of people and you believe that this is going to get you security, it's not going to work like that. We can, for example, mention the denial of voting rights, because the Palestinians living under occupied Palestine do not have a say in elections. They do not have any chance to vote for the government that is ruling them under a military siege. And they always have to undergo through forced removals, where Israeli soldiers come to their houses, tell them to get out. It's a matter of security. They need it for some security purposes, and they remove them from these places. And the illegal settlers that are accompanied by the army, wreaking havoc on their lives, forcing them out of their houses every day. And Israel has not stopped this for a minute. In the last 75 years, no matter what kind of government comes to power in Israel, they have always followed the same policy in allowing and also facilitating the forced removal and build-up of settlements in Palestine. And that is the denial of basic rights, and it's a structural violence perpetrated against the Palestinian people. And Daniel Levy rightly says this cannot produce security for Israelis, and it's not going to work like that.
And I hope one day, Palestinians of course, but also Jewish Israelis experience the idea of how liberating it can be to no longer be an oppressor. Because when you're oppressing people, you know in the back of your mind that you are generating a desire for retribution. You can't actually sleep securely at night if you know what you are doing.
This is a very good point. He says it's actually liberating to stop being oppressive to others. And this is a message for everyone who supports this apartheid regime. Everyone knows it's an apartheid regime. Everyone knows that the Palestinians are being denied their rights every day. They're being killed every day. Everybody knows this is unfair, but nonetheless, they keep doing it, especially the Israeli government. And the American government that is enabling all this violence against the Palestinians. They know what they're doing is not right. They know, but they don't care. That's the problem. And they somehow try to justify this as something done for the protection of Israeli rights, but they're not protecting those rights. And they're actually making them unsafe every time. Everyone knows it's a colonial project that is going on. Everyone knows that's why America is protecting it. And everybody also knows that one day it's going to end, just like the South African apartheid. There was a time when many Western powers supported that regime, but at last it had to come down. And Daniel Levy says it is actually a huge relief when you stop oppressing people. When you have done something wrong against the people, you know they're coming for revenge. You know whatever they do, they're never going to forget this. You know when you're killing people, perpetrating violence, taking away their houses every time, you know someday they're going to come for you. And the kids that are witnessing this, who do you think they're going to become? They will dedicate their lives to make sure that the people who've done this to them and to their families have to pay for what they did. It's going to be a cycle. Today you might be very important. Today you might be very powerful. Today you might have the military power to do whatever you want. But someday you're going to pay for it. You are producing every day people that are willing to dedicate their lives for the revenge of what has been done against them. And this is human nature. You can imagine yourself, your whole family being massacred. What type of life are you supposed to have? No matter what you do, you're going to promise yourself that you're going to make sure that these people have to pay for what they did. And this is going to be a cycle. So Daniel Levy says, even though Israel is very powerful right now and has done a lot of things to destroy their lives, it could actually be liberating to stop oppressing people. And I found that a very good point. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this, maybe like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. You can also watch some of my other videos on the subject. I'll be making more videos on this and other issues. Thank you very much.